Make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would. I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
If you're lying about that, you're lying about everything. Who's on the Epstein tapes? Who's on those tapes? Who's in those black books?
How many of you are satisfied with the results of the Epstein investigation? Clap. How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation?
Man, I'm loving every second of this as the MAGA movement is having a full-blown psychotic breakdown over the Trump-Epstein connection. And it truly reveals so much to me. It reveals so much about the true nature of our established political system, our established society, and capitalism as a whole. I'm a structuralist. I'm a systems thinker, which means that when you look at the different systems of society and how the mechanics of these systems influence people's behaviors, there's a lot to be taken away from this, okay? So I'm gonna give my perspective on all this, what it actually means. So let us begin. The first takeaway is how deluded and misinformed people really are. People really look over the systemic factors that influence society, how much death and destruction is caused by things like poverty, which is completely preventable, malnutrition, things that the system enforces on people. The fact that when you're poor, you're disadvantaged, structurally. Economic bigotry being the biggest force of destruction in society, and how the MAGA movement, they completely disregard all that stuff, and our entire political system, our entire media system is based on misinforming people and using sensationalism to get people all worked up and really motivated to chase a certain cause. Okay, there's a bunch of pedophiles harming children. Sure, that's a horrible thing, but what is causing far more destruction in society to children? What is the biggest force that causes the death and dismemberment of so many more children? It's not pedophiles, it's poverty. The MAGA movement, they've shown themselves, they expose themselves to be a bunch of clowns because, you didn't care about Trump allowing Elon Musk to go into the government and destroy all these government programs that help the most vulnerable people in society. You didn't care about Trump, warmongering with Greenland, with Panama, with Mexico, and starting a war with Iran, bombing Iran, allowing Israel to get away with a genocide, like ramping up the genocide in Gaza, which, by the way, if you actually care about children, over 50,000 children have been killed or injured in Gaza. You didn't care about that, did you? No, not one bit. You didn't care about all the massive corruption, all the scandals that Trump ran on his own supporters. Disgusting, horrible things like ripping children away from their families, using ICE, right? Using the immigration system, the anti-immigration ICE agency to rip away families, destroy families, deport innocent people to concentration camp, to build, what's it called, alligator Alcatraz, or whatever you want to call it, alligator Auschwitz, and putting innocent immigrants who don't have a criminal background, putting them in a concentration camp. You didn't care about that. You didn't care about the whole dozens and dozens of horrible, disgusting things that Trump has done. But you are so worked up over the Epstein list. You're so worked up over the pedophile ring, which, again, I'll say it is a horrible thing that should be exposed. I mean, I'm all for it because it makes me really happy to see the MAGA movement destroy itself and tear itself apart. Hopefully it continues tearing itself apart over the Epstein thing, but it reveals so much about the lack of understanding of priority. What should be prioritized in society? What should be prioritized? And it's the structural factors like economic bigotry, like poverty, like all the different, like planned obsolescence, all the different things that cause so much more destruction, but it's not very, it's not very sensational. People dying from poverty or from lack of access to medicine is not as emotionally triggering as pedophilia, sure. But again, the lack of foresight on systemic thinking, that's the first takeaway to understand from this entire phenomenon. Second, now addressing the whole Epstein thing, it truly reveals to me, and it should reveal to you, how truly demented and sick people in power really are. People in positions of power and economic advantage are truly despotic, sick human beings. Because when you're like winning in the game, when you've really clearly won in the game of capitalism, and you've accrued so much wealth and power for yourself, the excitement and gain that comes from that is kind of loses its value. And you're chasing new things. You're chasing different forms of domination, because don't get it twisted. This system is about competition and domination. It's not about cooperation and sharing. So in a system that's literally hinged, and it's very, in its nature, is derived from competition and domination and crushing people. Well, when you won in the financial game, like Epstein did, right, cozying up to all these different rich people, when you won, when you become financially independent, you have money, you have power, you have status, there's something missing, right? When you're brainwashed by the value system of capitalism, by the toxic value system of capitalism, there's much more you want to, that stuff loses value, and you're chasing other things. And what, I guess in a sad way, to these demented, sick people, dominating children, raping and molesting children is something that they get, that gets them off. So it really reveals a lot about the fact that we cannot be chasing systems of hierarchy. We should not ever be supporting systems of hierarchy and competition and domination, because it really produces this kind of an outcome. This is what the system produces, okay? So more than anything, yes, as much as I hate Epstein and these disgusting pedophiles, what we should be doing is trying to use this as an example to dismantle and expose the systems of hierarchy and domination. Third takeaway, and I've already mentioned this, but the third takeaway is how little they actually care about children. These people are hypocrites. They're pathetic. If they truly cared about children, they would try to stop all the wars, right? If you truly cared about children, the MAGA movement, if you really cared, these Republicans, if you really cared about children, you would do something. You would try to do something about poverty. Poverty, which kills far more children than all the wars in history combined, okay? All the serial killers and wars in history pale in comparison to the amount of children that die every single day. About 20,000 children die every single day around this world from preventable illnesses, from dehydration, diarrheal diseases that are easily preventable, that don't happen in the United States. Like in the United States, a developed country, we don't have people dying from diarrheal diseases, but it happens in other countries because they lack access to very basic medicine, which is a structural factor, the inequality between countries, right? The fact that poor nations have so much advantage over, rich nations have so much advantage over poor nations, and they usually exploit them. Poor countries are actually only poor because of the fact that rich countries exploit them, right? These factors are completely overlooked by MAGA, right? All the wars that kill children, all the children that died in Gaza, all the bombs being dropped around the world that killed mostly children, right? Because children are the most vulnerable people. They don't care about that. They don't care about all the different things, but oh, you know what? The pedophile ring. Yes, the pedophile ring. It goes back to the age-old argument of Republicans who care so much about, they care so much about, abortion, right? Oh my God, the sperm, you're killing sperm. You care so much about stopping abortion, but A, you don't care about stopping wars that kill children, and B, the Republicans in the established system, they don't want the Epstein list to be revealed because it impacts them, it impacts their friends. So again, even on that level, you don't care about children. Number 4, it shows truly how compromised our political system actually is. It doesn't take a genius to understand that Epstein was a Mossad agent, okay, or at least tied to Israeli intelligence. I mean, so much sketchy stuff happened around this guy's life. First of all, how did he get all those connections? How was he able to form all these connections so easily, right? Going from a guy who was he didn't have an actual college degree to be a mathematics instructor, but he ended up having a prestigious position at a university and making connections with all these billionaires and accruing so much wealth, having a bunch of mansions and property all over the country. Like, how did he get to that position? That is extremely sketchy. And when you look at the connection to Israel, which there exists definitely a connection to Israel, you can see the compromised nature of our political class and how potentially Israel was using Epstein to blackmail political representatives on both sides of the aisle, the Democrats and the Republicans, so to have them basically do their bidding, right? It shows how much different lobbies, the Saudi lobby, the Israeli lobby, the pharmaceutical lobby, the oil lobby, all these different vested interests control our government. And I think, to me, nothing is more of a powerful example of this than the Epstein phenomenon. Because, I mean, the whole world right now, majority of people in the United States want to see this list be revealed. And Trump promised on these things on the campaign trail. But, nothing to be seen about that now, right? So it shows the true compromised nature of the political class and how they're actually owned by their lobbies, their lobby investors, right? So the Israeli lobby, the Mossad connection is very deep with Epstein, and it shows a very dark and dangerous reality of what goes on behind closed doors in Washington. Because, that brings me on to point number, point number 5. both sides, both political parties are highly involved in this Epstein thing, okay? The biggest telltale sign about how the Democrats are also involved in the Epstein phenomenon is the fact that one of the most powerful things to beat Donald Trump during the campaign trail, right, when Kamala was running against Trump, was to mention that, you know what, Trump is on the Epstein list. Elon Musk did it. Elon Musk said over and over again how Trump is compromised, Trump is on the Epstein list because he has a rivalry with Trump now. But like, the Democrats didn't say that. Kamala never said that. Obama never said that. What does that tell you? The Democrats are also involved. That's why both parties cannot be trusted. Both parties. I mean, I know there's good people like Democratic Socialists like Bernie Sanders and AOC. I respect them highly. They're pretty good. But the entire Democratic establishment is disgusting. They're pathetic. They're monsters. They're criminals, okay? Bill Clinton was on Epstein Island. Epstein literally had a painting of Bill Clinton, a very weird looking painting of Bill Clinton in his room. You know, remember that? So it shows really how compromised both parties really are. The Democrats and the Republicans are both involved in the Epstein phenomenon. So don't forget it. And you know, my last point on this is that this, I think in general, this is a pretty big distraction. Even the Epstein thing is a distraction from the real problems of society, okay? This new Republican coalition, the MAGA movement, is a death cult, okay? It's a death cult. Trump's big, beautiful bill, or the big bullshit bill, whatever you want to call it, is going to cause so much destruction to this country. The biggest tax cuts in history being given to the 1%. Huge tax cuts to the billionaire class. Massive investments in the military. Much more money going to the military. Destroying healthcare for poor people. Taking away Medicare from millions of Americans. And the estimates show that tens of thousands of Americans could die in the coming years because of these cuts to Medicare. It is in a large part, as much as I want to see this be exposed, as much as I want to see the Epstein phenomenon cause a rift and destruction among the MAGA movement, it is in large part a distraction from the real problems of society. The structural mechanisms that the MAGA movement, the Republican, the Trump phenomenon, they're putting in place in society to basically remove most chances of us rebounding and getting to a healthier position in the United States. It is in a large part a distraction, just like most things are. The whole media, the whole news, you know, they blow up a car accident or somebody pulling out a gun and shooting somebody. During the time that it takes to cover that phenomenon, so many people have died from poverty and preventable illnesses, okay? So, again, it's another distraction, but I mean, for one, I do want to see that happen. I do want to see it exposed. I want to see the list be provided. So anyway, this is the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sweating bullets out here. That's why my shirt is all wet. It's freaking 90 degrees right now. But yeah, I mean, I'm a true Iranian, right? So I'm still drinking my tea. I got my World Beyond Capitalism thing. I got hot tea. I don't drink cold tea. But I'm here, you know, in this beautiful garden. Actually here, in the place that I'm at right now, this community garden is actually the temperature is much cooler here than if I were to step outside there on the asphalt. So the air quality is so clean and crisp, and the air is so much cooler. And even to have my little companion, my cat here, chilling here with me. And she was just watching me the whole time, shoot my video. But yeah, guys, that's the video for as far as this goes. But I just want to say, again, I want to reemphasize how much this reveals the corrupt nature of capitalism, okay? A big reason why these lobbies, like the Israeli lobby, like AIPAC, is actually involved with Epstein and Mossad, is because they use these as leverage points to blackmail our politicians to favor their constituents, okay? The colonial entity, the apartheid entity known as Israel. I mean, it's not just Epstein. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of blackmail that goes on with the oil industry, the pharmaceutical industry, all these different massive lobby forces. They have so much dirt on our politicians, and they use that as leverage to establish their positions of power and maintain those positions of power, and basically, you know, screw over the average person, screw over the American people. So the average person who's struggling right now to make ends meet, you know, the average American, 60% of Americans are one paycheck away from being evicted. They're living in poverty. Don't count on Congress, don't count on the Republicans or Democrats to ever help you out, because those people are owned by the lobbies. They're owned by lobbies like AIPAC, the fossil fuel industry, the pharmaceutical industry, okay? So again, the Epstein phenomenon should reveal a lot about the established nature of our political system, our society, and capitalism as a whole. All right, guys. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. Ginger, say hi. All right. So anyway, guys, peace out. Much love. And I'm almost done setting up my studio, and I'll be recording videos in the studio pretty soon. Look out for the end of Israel video coming out in a few days. Okay. I'm almost done editing that. It's going to be quite a long one. But yeah, look out for the end of Israel video. All right. That's it for me, guys. Peace out. Much love. And as always, F capitalism. Bye.